Hey orchestra, welcome to lesson 16. Great job sticking with your video lessons, coming back each and every week. I am really excited to remind you that we are starting March Madness now. We're in the first week of March, so please be keeping track of your practice every day on your chart, and I hope that you can win one of our special prizes at the end of the month for your consistent practice. Maybe you might be one of the top 5 practicers in your grade, and that would earn you a grand prize as well. More information is on Google Classroom, or send me an email if you have any questions about that. So for today's lesson, the big thing that we're going to be doing is shifting our bow hold from the balance point to the frog. So that'll put us in a fully traditional bow hold setup. So that is coming your way, our bow shifting from the balance point to the frog. We're going to be playing something called the D scale today and a song called Frere Jacques, which you might know. And I'm also going to be reviewing with you some sayings that you can use to remember your line and space notes while you're reading in standard notation. So what you're going to need for class today is your instrument, your bow, music stand, book, and your online packet. All the usual stuff. So let's take a moment, gather what you need, and I'll see you in a minute. We're going to start with our bows today. Grab your bow. Let's hold our bow at the balance point as we've been practicing. Let's do a little knuckle turnover check. And I really want you to feel how nice this feels at the balance point when our bow weight is equally distributed. It's going to feel a little harder once we move our hand to the frog. This is the heavier part of your bow. It takes a little more muscle to hold it here. So let's take our balance point, keep it all the same, and slide it down to the frog, this black box here. Immediately you're going to feel some kind of weird different things in your hand. You might be thinking, where do I put my thumb? There's a special little, I call it the nuzzle nook, that's in between this bow, kind of the grip part and the start of the frog. That's where you're going to tuck your thumb. Still, it's going to be still basically across from your second finger. Pointer finger wraps, and then your pinky for violin. I don't want you to feel like you have to stretch your pinky all the way out to the bow screw. No, I want your pinky comfortably close to your ring finger. So do not stretch it out like that. It should land where it lands, comfortably close. For the cellists, pick up my cello bow and show you here. I want you to cover, this is a beautiful little decorative piece called the eyelet, and I want you to cover that with your pinky. See how my twin fingers are really draping down below? Yours might not drape down as much because your hand might be smaller than mine. And notice how I'm not kind of changing the angle of my hand in any weird way. The fingers just drape down almost in a straight line. Sometimes we think of our cello bow hold as like a waterfall, and the pinky can tap and cover up this little eyelet. Again, check your hand. Make sure you're not angling this way or that way. We see that a lot with cellists. Keep pretty straight, fingers straight down. And then again, your thumb is nicely bent, and it's in that same kind of nook here. There's a little nook there to put your thumb. The thumb, the way I teach the bow hold, the thumb does not go on this silver part, the ferrule. I do not teach the thumb there. I teach the thumb here. Same for violin. The thumb goes in this special little nuzzle nook. It does not go on the silver part, the ferrule. So now that you have your bow at the frog, it's going to feel a little different in your hand. It might feel a little heavier. That's okay. We're building that strength. I would like to do some knuckle turnovers now with our bow hold at the frog. So you're rotating your wrist mostly, and check your thumb. You can check your thumb position. Make sure it's in that nuzzle nook I talked about, not on the silver part, and that it's bent. We want it to bend like into a mountain shape. And let's do 2 more. Knuckle turnover, check your thumb. Come back. Cellists, please check the angle of your hand right now. Make sure it's not collapsing to either side. And one more turnover. Activating your wrist, checking the bend in your thumb. Bring it on back. Let's put everything down and shake it off. So from now on, I'm going to be guiding you to use your bow at the frog, and that's also going to feel a little different when we put it on the instrument in a second. So the next thing I want to do is go through the sayings that you can use to remember your line and space notes. So I'm going to put them on the screen in just a moment. The first one for the cellists, you can remember your space notes, A, C, E, G, by thinking the saying, all cows eat grass. And for the cellists, for your line notes, G, B, D, F, A, you can think good boys do fine always. Now, for violinists, when you read your space notes, F, A, C, E, you can think face, like a lovely face. That's easy. And then for your line notes, E, G, B, D, F, you can think empty garbage before dad flips. So those are your sayings for your instruments. I'm going to put them on screen in a minute. You can pause the video and write them down in your notebook. We always read from low to high. So for example, face, F-A-C-E, the F is referring to the first space, which means the lowest space on your musical staff. All cows eat grass for cellists. That A, starting on the A, C, E, G, we go low to high. So let's take a moment and pause on the next screen where you see me post the words, and I want you to write these down, memorize them, and use them as you're reading your standard notation. Next portion of our lesson is going to be in our orange books. So why don't you take a second and get yourself situated with your book and your music stand. And I forgot to mention this at the start of the lesson, but in an effort to get everybody practicing more for March Madness, I would like you to try watching my video that I've created many months ago about how to set up your own practice space. It's nice to feel like you have a nice cozy nook somewhere in your house that's really set up for your music playing. So books, open to page 19. Let's pick up our bow, hold it now at the frog, and we're going to look at number 62. It's called Down the D Major Scale. Now, no matter what instrument you're playing, violin or cello, I want you to listen while I play. Down the D major scale. Then we'll talk about what is a scale. Listen while I play, number 62. Rest. Rest. So our scale is a series of notes in order. In this case, we're starting on our high D, and we're touching every note and going down to land on our low D, or our open D. So the sequence is D, 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 rest, C's, 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 rest. During the rest, you can do a little breath, breathing in. Let's try this one together. Come into playing position in 5, 4, number 62, 3, 2, 1. Now your bow is landing on your A string. Check your elbow level, high elbow for cellos, low elbow for violins. Get used to this new feeling of your hand at the frog. It's quite heavy here. We can sink our bow in. You can do like a little sinking in of that weight into the string without making a sound. And let's see what happens when we play our down the D major scale. Our bow is touching right underneath our hand at the frog. Number 62, down the D scale, starting on your high D. Ready, set, And here we go. Now C sharp. B. A. Next string, change your elbow level. G. Fees. Go to rest position. Put that bow screw on your knee. All right, take a second to take stock of how did that sound? Were you satisfied with the sound of your instrument? You might need to use a little bit more of your bow arm to get the sound you want, or maybe sink more into the string. If you were hearing some scratchies, that means you were putting too much of that heavy weight, and you might need to back off the weight a little bit. So that's one way we can play our D scale. Let's try number 64 in your book. It's a little essential elements quiz, and it's called the D major scale. This time, if you look, please, at 64, I want you to think the name of your first note. It's a lower note than where we just started. Think the name of that first note. It's a D major scale. That might give you a hint. What could that first note be? D. So this time our pattern is, you can bow in the air with me, D, D, E, E, Fis, Fis, G, G, A, B, B, C, C, D, 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 D. Pause right there. Ooh, they changed the pattern on us. Every other note only happened twice, but if you're using your good reading eyes, you would see that the high D, the highest note in this series, this scale, is performed 4 times. C, C, D, D. Next line starts on another high D again. So please don't go on autopilot. Sometimes we do that and we're like, ooh, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm playing. I don't need to look at my music. Don't go on autopilot. Make sure you look out for tricks like this. There's another little trick at the end of this quiz song where it's E, E, D, rest. You might be tempted to play E, E, D, D, like, whoa, I play each note twice. No, no, no. Read your sheet music. So let's turn our attention to our books, and let's put our bow on the open D string right under our hand at the frog. Hover your first finger, and let's play this sequence. Let's see if you can play all the right notes. Make sure you're not guessing. Ready? Set, 64, and go. Right, how did you do? I hope that you were reading your notation and not guessing on any of the notes. Recall your sayings. Your sayings, all cows eat grass. Good boys do fine always. F-A-C-E, face. And empty garbage before dad flips. So those are 2 versions of your D scale. A scale just means playing a note from one note to the next. They have the same name, and we cover the distance of an octave, 8 notes. And we start on 1 D, and we climb and we play every note until we get to the next note named D, and then maybe we climb back down again. We can play a scale between any 2 note names. You could do a G to G scale or an A to A scale, and they have different rules depending on what the scale is, which we don't need to worry about right now. So I want you to practice again these 2 scale patterns, 62 and 64. Now our bow is at the frog, so what do you need to do to make your most beautiful sound? I want you to pause the video, practice these again, and try and get your most gorgeous ringing cello or violin sound. We will regroup in a minute, and we will go play one of the songs in our packet number 3. Next on our agenda is to learn and play the song Frere Jacques with our bow. Please open Packet 3 on Google Classroom. While you're getting that ready, you can listen to me play the song. It might be a familiar tune. Now there's a newer note for us. It is our low A. And to review, we play our low A by putting our first finger on the G string. For cellists, it's also a first finger on the G string. Can you practice playing this much for me? Do, sol, do, do, sol, do. Starting on your open D, and then going to your low A and back again. It's tricky because you do need to change your elbow level and cross the string. Let's do that one more time. D, A, D, D, A, D. Ready, play. As you're going on to your lower strings, the lower or the thicker the string is, like our G string is thicker than D, you need to sink a little bit more heavy into your bow hand. You might be finding that the sound is not super clear as you're playing that note on the G string. So use a heavier and maybe slower bow arm in order to get that best sound. Let's try it one more time. D, A, D, ready, go. Good, go to rest position. So the beginning of this song is kind of like a D scale. D, E, F's, then it jumps back down to D, then it repeats again. D, E, F's, D. Let's play just that much together. The first line of the song, up, up, up. Sitting tall. We're going to hover our first finger over the D string, just like we did in our D scale. Put your bow in the sweet spot. And let's play that first line. Ready, set, first line, and go. Okay, let's play it one more time. Can you try and find your most beautiful sound with your bow holding at the frog? Do a pinky check, pointer finger check, thumb check. Put the bow down in the sweet spot and let's play again. Ready? First line, here we go. Good, listen while I sing the next line. F's, G, A, F's, G, A. Let's play it. The second line, starting on F sharp, ready, and go. Do that second line again. Think in your bow arm, you're going to think fast, fast, slow, quarter, quarter, half. Ready, and second line, go. Another tricky line where you have to change your arm level, so that might present some challenges for us. Take it slow. Third line is the hardest line of the song. The hardest line of the song. We have eighth notes. Do, day, followed by quarters. Do, day, do. What's going to help you to get these the timing right and to get it to sound really good is to keep your left hand fingers very close to the string. Like way back in the day, when we were only doing pizzicato, that was one of the skills that we learned was get that left hand, keep it close, keep your left hand fingers hovering, no matter what instrument you're playing, cello or violin. Do, day, do, day, do, do. See how close I'm keeping them? Do, day, do, day, do, do. Because you've got to cross over these strings, and if your hands are like this, do, day, do, day, it's really hard to get it on time, and it's a lot of extra work. Let's sing the letter names before we play it in slow motion. A, B, A, G, V, D. A, B, A, G, V, D. Let's break it down a little bit. Can you just play A, B, A like this? Do it again. A, B, A. Now, let's add the G, which is going to happen on an up bow, which might feel a little weird for us. We're changing the string level and doing an up bow. You can do it. I believe in you. Let's play A, B, A, G. Tricky stuff. Changing your fingers over the D string and changing your elbow to a different string level. Ready? Try that much now. Did you keep your fingers close to the strings at all times, or were you letting them fly away? Try again. A, B, A, G. Fingers as close as possible to the strings. Ready? Go. One more time. Ready? Go. All right, I think we're ready to add the feast, then the open D. Try it with me, that whole line. You can do it. Ready, set, third line, go. Go to rest position, take a little playing break. Maybe roll your shoulders a little bit. Now again, we're entering March Madness, which is our practice extravaganza challenge for the month of March. You may be thinking to yourself, well, when I practice, I just play every song one time through and then I'm done. Good practicers will take the time to consider what's the hardest part of this song that I'm working on, and then isolate that hardest part and practice it really slowly in little chunks like I just guided you through, and many, many, many times in a row. So not just one time. Slow, isolate the hardest part of the song. So let's play that third line again. We're isolating the hardest part of the song, and we're doing it slow until we're comfortable. A, B, A, change the string level, G. Ready, go. Change to A. Okay, let's take a second. I want you to pause and practice the song as you see fit. Practice the whole song. When you're ready, you can restart the video and we'll do a play along together. So go ahead and pause, practice, and regroup when you're ready for a play along. Play along Frere Jacques, playing position in 5, 4, 3, sitting tall, 2, bow comes to the sweet spot on the D string, and 1, elbow, wrist, pinky in a straight line. Ready, set, let's play the whole song. extension. Bow comes to the top of your leg. Awesome job, fourth graders. This was a jam-packed lesson. We moved our hand on our bow to the frog. We learned D scales, we learned sayings for our line and space notes, and we learned a challenge song called Frere Jacques. So happy practicing. Don't forget to track your practice this month for March, and I can't wait to be giving out some prizes in April.